Right.
Then you visualize. Then you reassemble it. Then you're making your statements. So it's all about how your brain works.
Right.
So that's why a lot of times, in our group, we have a lot of people just retired. I say, great, you come here, like you go to gym, I'm your trainer.
Exercise.
Yeah, you're lifting weight, not by your arms and legs, you use the brain.
Hello everybody, you're watching Vexit Art, and today we're going to get a presentation from Mr. Yu from Scottsdale Community College, and he's going to teach us about composition. If you guys have any comments or questions, please put those below, and I hope you enjoy the presentation.
A lot of times I show you a lot of the masterpieces. A lot of pieces probably you already know. But really, every time when you paint, I don't know how many times you're really consciously thinking about composition. A lot of times when we go to the museum, go to the galleries, we see great artworks. And you probably really look into how the image has been created, how the color being applied. And I don't know how many times you consciously think about how the composition being constructed. So I really want to just emphasize more about compositional issues. Okay, and in this lecture and then the lecture I'm going to give next year, I really want to concentrate on this compositional issues. So every time, because when you go to the museum, you go to the gallery, you see artwork, what you learn from looking at these artwork. Nowadays, you can very easily just Google a lot of things, right? But what you really learn, sometimes it would probably not putting the compositional issue as top priority only. And so the balance, imbalance is one of the kind of important, or two of the important balance principles. But a lot of the principles, principle really is the sentence structure. Okay, your elements, colors, lines, shapes, forms, textures, values, etc., etc. But how you put them together into a paragraph, sentence, paragraph, and then a complete article. You really have to have certain knowledge to be consciously, apply into your, everyday paintings. Okay, and a lot of the principles are intertwined. So today we're talking about balance. Balance, imbalance. A lot of times we want to create kind of a perfect balance, right? Balance is all about weight distribution. Where you can put the weight, how you're going to move the weights. But I will see a lot of time when we do a painting or drawing or photography, a lot of time we think about this perfect balance, right? You have a center line, and you have left, and you have right. Mostly we talk about that. But today we're going to talk about more about, you go to a little bit extreme. You go a little bit push the envelope. A little bit out of the box. And I would just choose some examples to show you how that can be done. Okay. I know these things we talk quite a bit. These are all about your syntax, how you put the sentence structure. So when you talk about balance, we really talk about how you understand zones. And so you can purposefully select the zone to do the zoning. Okay. So here, basically, we have three types of zones. The center, zone 1, and edges, the 2, and the corners. Right? So because if I'm not talking about the zone, you don't really know how this weight distribution going. Most time, when you select zone 1, or near that proximity, really give you a safe way of keep the balance. Okay, because that is most stable part. But when you start transition to zone 2, particular the left and right, and then that will be greatly affect that weight distribution. Okay, and when you go to the corners, even more, especially the lower corner, left and right. So there's 3. But a lot of times we're not really consciously thinking about it when you put things together. You say, okay, I'm using the zone 1. How about the 2 and 3? Where I should place it? How I'm going to place it? So here we're going to talk about edges and corners. Okay. So here, we know this guy, Hopper, yes, again, a famous American. And his work is, of course, the conceptual part is so strong. But when you look at this, of course there's certain narrative in here. But you look at zone 1, basically there's nothing. Right? But basically he's using the 2, left and right. Okay? Obvious one is on the right. It's a very powerful statement, right? Because really, when you look at the theater, this movie theater, there not a whole lot of audience in there. So it'll give you that kind of empty, And then you see this big dividing structure right in the middle. And then you see this figure. And it's so powerful. However, you can make up that narrative. Right? But, but Hopper, Ed really thought carefully about where to place the image. And then when you look at his painting, always, we're going to use more example. And so this is a postmodern era in the 80s and 90s. Zone 1, basically nothing, right? Well, there's some table, there's food, But you see how the window and the light shooting it. And you see this lady sitting at the edge. Okay? Of course, if you just think about it, and then you see the dog. Do you see the dog? Yeah, it's in the corner. So you look at it, all these things, the flowers, all these pretty obvious stuff, except the chandelier and then the teapot, kind of in the center. But you see how it's different if you put this figure right in the center. Okay? Almost create different, even the conceptual, visually definitely is, you can see is pushing. But that makes it much more intriguing, both visually and conceptual. It's another Hopper's piece. We're going to talk a lot of it because he used a lot. When you look at it, okay, what took about zone, right? In the middle, zone 1, there's nothing. But then this is this is probably the only few pieces he did without any human figure. But yet, you don't have to show the figure to talk about human. And talk about the absence of the presence. Of course, it's a house. It's a human dwelling for human. But yet, you open the door. You say, where's the figure? Is the figure already jumping in the water, or is it just sitting somewhere on the left side, enjoying the breeze, and whatever the narrative you try to make. But how visually you see how this edge zone being applied, and definitely make it much more poetic. Edward Munch, the Scream, right? Yeah. And he liked bridges, water, but he can see here too, right? This group of people, even the Scream, the same thing, right? It's edge, it's not the center. So you feel like they're a little unsubtle. That's the 1960s, pop. Okay, of course, these are, during that period, there are a lot of, collage, image transfer. You could probably cut this into 3 different sections, right? And your focal point is basically on the 1/3 is way on the far right. Okay, but you can see, do you say this is out of balance? No, but yet it's almost, you can see the weight distribution definitely a lot heavier on the one side, how you use the edge. And the center basically is the window frame, right? The right edge in the window frame, that is the center. But that zone have nothing in there, okay? Pop art, a lot of times, of course, some images. But there are a lot of people who, besides Andy Warhol, during that time, during that era, did a lot of kind of very intriguing, attempts to talk about how our daily life. Pierre Bernard, and so you see here, this is relatively long canvas, and how he used, zone 2. The bottle on one side, and the figure on the other.
But Robert, it is true storytelling, because in the center, on one he has the meal.
You're right.
Without
You have
the
the
meal,
food.
there would be no story. There would be woman
Well,
on the table.
yeah, but you look at the girl almost like
Yeah.
not really enjoy eating. That's the point.
Yeah. Who knows what she had to eat? Yeah.
I think she doesn't enjoy her company.
Wow. Or,
Oh my God.
of course, Walsenberg.
Rauschenberg, yeah.
Yeah,
Ah,
but here it's almost like you have 2 sides, right? So you can tell one side is heavier, but the other side really definitely is smaller image. But human figures always get a lot of more attention psychologically. So that really balanced. But almost like he was play this game about a balancing balance. Yeah. How you place the weight on that scale. Oh.
Your favorite.
Okay, Matisse, right? Now, Judy, well, that's your subject too. But you look at the chair,
Matisse.
right? So, Judy, when you paint, so how do you think about, okay, can I put the chair way out of there? We're going to talk about open composition too. But you look at it, say a lot of times we have to put everything in there, and then we try to make it into the center, right? Same thing here, almost like Pierre Bernard's painting. In the food is in the middle, right? The fruit, but the figure is on the other side, and the painting's on the other side, and the chair. Yeah, but think about your own painting. Have you ever constantly think about, okay, I'm going to use zone 2, zone 3, and then I'm going to avoid the zone 1. Sometimes it's just a little different when you constantly think about it. And your statement can be, in a way, probably a little bit more challenging or, more compelling. Matisse, right? So here you have look at the zone 1. It's a window frame again, right in the middle. But then everything's on the side and the corner. Yeah, but open composition. We're going to talk about open composition
it's the red blood.
a little bit later. But you can see these people. A lot of time this image we're familiar with. But when you look at it, you say, what we learn? Beautiful colors, patterns. Curl, you see grids, right? You see organic, you see the parallel, you see curvilinear, rectilinear, very similar to your work, your approach. But you see how the placement.
That's gorgeous.
Another example, you know, I got a whole bunch of his image. Because these, you know, sometimes when you look at his work, there's a lot of sentimentality, sadness, loneliness, but yet it's so beautiful, peaceful, but yet there's a hidden things. A lot of have to do not just about color, the image, but it's how you place. Look at the table. Look at the table. It's totally, so you say, okay, everything, the weights definitely distribute much stronger to the lower left. But yet, it doesn't really give you this out of balance. Sometimes, you know, these things are make you more thinking about what's going on. So there's an unsettling kind of feeling about, but that is the whole intent about the narrative and how he represented and making the statement about the narrative. So that made this, even though you don't see the face, but you can, you know, get into this women, you know, what is she thinking? Just like Andrew Wyeth's Christina's World, you don't see the face, right? You see the back, but yet just as powerful, or even more powerful, than give you the face. Yes?
How much does eye movement also play a part?
Well, that's, yeah, very good. That's what we're going to talk about.
Oh,
Yeah. We're going to talk about very next.
And then Robert, the right line from the corner, from the flowers to the right side down. I follow this Russian guy.
Yeah.
He is a painter in Germany. And he says if you want to create depression, you create these lines
Yeah.
which go down,
Go down.
like these ones.
Like
and
go
then you
down.
do a lot of
So,
parallels.
Yeah.
really?
That's what he
Depression,
said.
maybe
I
we
thought
see-
it's so weird.
Yeah.
But I think it might be true. I don't
Yeah,
know.
well, sometimes it can be, but you know, when Barbara talk about eye direction, a lot of time our eye do follow the lines, you know. So especially architectural lines, we do the perspective, and a lot of time is here. Another thing we're going to talk about later, when you have diagonal line, we're going to talk about that. You have this kind of a unsettling kind of a, you know, teetering between the balance and imbalance, because horizon is very important. If you talk to Sue Fuller, well, because, you know, she's a pilot. You know, when you fly an airplane, right? And then you look at the horizon line, especially at night. You cannot see the land. So that give you, that tell you where, you know, hey, where it is. So when we do the painting, like this painting, the horizon really is, there's not a perfect horizontal line. You see that building, the red building, give you that relatively horizontal stability, but the rest is a little bit, you know, even that red building is not quite as horizontal in a way. Then those lines will give you the sense of certain, you know, unstable kind of feeling. You know, I just love, you know, this guy is, you know, of course, will repeatedly showing a lot of the image, Andrew Wyeth. But you look at it, of course, later we're going to talk about other examples. Basically, 1/3 of this painting have most of your image. The other 2/3 is just like nothing, empty, right? But it's just, you know, so Paul, do you see that little rock, white little rock in there? Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
And then don't forget, you know, we talk about eye directions. So almost like your eye follow. So, okay, weight distribution is physical weight and the visual weight. Sometimes similar, but a lot of times different. But the understanding of balance, a lot of have to do our understanding about physical weight distribution. Okay? But visual weight, like this one, visual weight, definitely you feel like this left side is so overwhelmingly heavy, right? However, the lines and things, sometimes it's just that little tiny, but if you talk about leverage physics, right? We got quite a few engineers, well, former engineers here. So leverage. And then we're putting things, longer arms give you more leverage. So that stretch. But you know, when you look at these paintings, you know, he purposefully put that on the side. Make it so much more poetic. Almost like not quite as balanced, but yet it's balanced. Yeah, another example, right? Now it's using the zone 3, the corner. A lot of time we'll say, if you say, Robert, I'm going to do this, like this, I will say, oh, be careful because your wave distribution is so much toward that lower right. You know, but there's a lot of things, you know, tricky. You see that little fork hanging there?
Yeah, and the fire.
That gave you a little direction. And the shadow. The shadow. He used the shadow. Shadow point at the other side. Okay? So give you that intricate kind of a, you know, little play. How to show the weight. Even you look at the metal bar, you know, halfway in the shadow, and then you come in the light, and get your eye direct toward the other direction. So all these are very calculated, you know, way if he plays it, you know. So talk about these masters, they really not just, they have good skill, they can portray images perfectly, but the color, but how they place, how they really making statements. I mean, this is a perfect example. You know, you see the diagonal line from the metal piece, or like a shelf wood fireplace. All these things are showing how you distribute weight. Okay? Everything have a purpose. But a lot of time when we look at art, we go see artwork. You go to the museum, you know, and say, okay, I'm in New York City, I'll go to MoMA or go to Met. What do you see? What do you learn from looking at these work? Okay. Zone 1, nothing. Zone 1, nothing, right? And basically 2. That kid is basically out of the picture kind of. You know? And this guy always reminds me of Dwayne.
Dwayne?
Dwayne, yeah.
Our Dwayne?
Yeah, our Dwayne. Every time I look at the painting, I think about Dwayne.
Yeah, we all in famous paintings. Edward Wynne.
Oh, gosh.
Another Edward Monk. But you know, even though this is not totally on the zone 2, but you can see this tree and then this figure. Right? A lot of times I will caution you, I say, be careful, your weight is so heavy on the bottom. Because a lot of times you understand how we understand gravity. That's what weight distribution is all about gravity. So if you put a weight on top, always give you movement because you feel like it's going to downwards. That's gravity. But when you have everything bottom, like if you take a picture, you always say, make sure your head is not growing the tree, you know, the tree grow out of your head, right? A lot of times, but you know, he just purposefully is doing this. I mean,
It's great.
so almost like psychological.
Yeah.
Like you look, Scream, you know, Edward Monk had another painting. Scream is very in your face, very obvious. But yeah, but there's one called the one talk about little girl. Okay, and then there's shadow behind her. That piece is so powerful. It's not in your face, kind of like psychologically challenging the viewer, like this. But it, you know, his work is really powerful in a way.
That's interesting.
Okay, here is a piece of photography. Black and white photographies. I think it's done in the I think 30s or 40s. I can't remember. But you look at this piece. It's very poetic because you don't see, you know, how many people You think about, I'm going to compose a painting like this, right?
I love
There's, yeah, but the story is, it's just the way you tell the story, right? It's just so powerful. Because there are almost no presence. You see a lake,
it. Yeah.
and you see this jacket, right? I know, but how poetically you can do. But here you can see this is basically the zone, placement, center, nothing. Make sure you understand your intent.
Oh.
Of course, the sculpture, they talk about balance. This is really is typical. You talk about all balance. Everything is on the other side.
Well, thank you guys for watching. YouTube would not let me load this video in its entirety. There is another section to this video, so the link will be below. And if you do, please subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.